Hey guys, Off the Mic Sports Network here, another edition of Off the Top Rope. So, stemming off of the big story in Fightful Select that Stone Cold Steve Austin has said he's got one more match left in him, and potentially he's told people that. He told people that back in April at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas. We're assuming it would be a WrestleMania match because this is Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of the greatest of all time. Um, I've said CM Punk, given the history that they have, given Stone Cold and Punk have a ton of respect for each other, I think that just makes so much sense. So, but extending that, we talk about dream matches that, like, obviously we talk about, like, in basketball terms, we talk about, the Jordan MJ comparison, or like these, what would we want to see, like, one-on-one, or like, this team versus that team. So Stone Cold and Punk has always been one of those things. John Cena and The Rock was obviously one. They did that twice in a lifetime. And then Roman Reigns and The Rock was another one. We've got a chance to see at least one of those potentially next year. And if you would have told me on June 21st of 2025 that it was more likely that Stone Cold Steve Austin would face CM Punk over The Rock and Roman Reigns, I would tell you you may be right. And that's insane to think about, because how is this even a discussion that Rock and Roman Reigns hasn't happened yet? And the fact that it hasn't is all at the feet of Dwayne Johnson. Because now this guy's got more power than he ever has, being a board member. And I know some of you Bloodline truthers and some of these people in the community are going to say, well, they should have done it at WrestleMania 40. Well, you know what? They had the seeds planted, and The Rock came in too late, and Triple H had a different plan. He wanted Cody Rhodes to finish his story, and so he had Cody Rhodes win at WrestleMania, or win at the Royal Rumble, and then everything went on its ear in in a span of a couple of weeks. Cody stepped aside for The Rock. The fans hated it, and then ultimately the fans chose Cody over The Rock, which led to Cody finishing his story. It led to some of the best television, but that was never the plan. That was never the plan. But here's my problem, and has been my whole problem, because it stems to this year, which you guys saw after WrestleMania 41. I was livid at The Rock that A, he was not on that show, period, and B, that he did not wrestle Roman Reigns. Because all along after WrestleMania 40, it made so much sense. There was so much out there with the bloodline breaking off from Roman while Roman was gone, licking his wounds. And then obviously the bloodline, the pursuit of the Ulafala with Solo Sikoa. It made a ton of sense for The Rock to ultimately be. And then they had that whole weird moment at Bad Blood, and it led to nothing. And it was a bizarre sequence of events. But even extending that, Stone Cold Steve Austin hasn't had it up until a couple of years ago in 2022. Stone Cold Steve Austin hadn't wrestled a match since 2003. He hadn't wrestled a match in 19 years. And even when he came back for that match against Kevin Owens, we knew that even though CM Punk was back at wrestling, there was no hint of him ever going back to WWE, because this was before all the stuff went off the track, where the train went off the tracks in AEW, and the Young Bucks and him went at it, Tony Khan and him went at it, and then obviously the Jack Perry stuff. Nobody thought CM Punk was CM Punk was back in wrestling, but nobody thought that this was possible. So going back to like WrestleMania 31, which was 2015, everybody, 2015, they've had a decade to get Rock and Roman Reigns done. And basically, I would make the argument that we're only 2 years, 36 and 37, 2020 and 2021, because that was COVID. And you're not going to do one of the biggest money matches of all time in front of a partially filled crowd. You're not going to do that. Come on. So the fact that they basically have had 8 out of 10 years that they could have done Rock and Roman Reigns. And basically, Stone Cold Steve Austin in the last 22 years has wrestled one match. And there is more possibility that Stone Cold Steve Austin gets in a WrestleMania ring in a one-on-one dream match against somebody that we've all wanted to see him face. But The Rock can't get back in the ring with his cousin in the biggest box office match of all time is a joke. That is a fucking joke. And it's another reflection of just how much The Rock does not give a flying fuck about this business that his family helped pave for a lot of people. You mean to tell me that Stone Cold Steve Austin, a guy who has nothing left to prove, nothing, He has nothing left to prove. And in some cases, The Rock doesn't really have anything to prove. But considering what it would mean for the industry and considering the stature of Rock and Roman Reigns, this is something that needs to be done. Stone Cold Steve Austin does not need to have this match with CM Punk if that's the way that they want to go. But the fact that he's even discussing it and saying, hey, I may have one more match left in me, we all know the match that he wants to do. He said it. Stone Cold and him have a ton of respect. Stone Cold inducted him into the Hall of Fame with this match with Bret Hart. If Stone Cold wants it to happen, it will happen. Mark my words. And The Rock, if he wanted the match with him and Roman Reigns to happen, it would have happened. I understand that WrestleMania 40 was a possibility, but Rock dicked around, waited too long. WWE had already made a decision to go with Cody Rhodes. And then when they tried to flesh it out with the fans chose Cody. That's not Cody's fault. That's The Rock's fault. And then extending that, you did good business, but then you come back for WrestleMania 41. You don't even show up, and you don't even do the one match that everybody wants to see you in. After you kind of got screwed over, but at the same time, that's your own damn fault. The fact that Stone Cold is willing to potentially come back into wrestling and do maybe the one match that everybody wants him to see him in, and The Rock doesn't want to play ball, the fuck, man? There's a chance that both these matches could happen on the same show. That would be the biggest WrestleMania of all time if you had Stone Cold and Punk and you had Roman and Rock. But as of right now, as we're sitting here, 10 months away from WrestleMania in Las Vegas, WrestleMania 42, it looks more likely that CM Punk and Stone Cold will happen over Roman Reigns and The Rock. And if you would have told me that a couple of years ago, I would have told you were batshit fucking insane. And the fact that this is even a discussion is embarrassing because Rock and Roman Reigns should have been done by now. This is not even a WrestleMania 40 discussion anymore. It should have happened this year at 41. It could have happened at 39 in Los Angeles. It could have happened at 38. The same WrestleMania that Stone Cold came back for a match. You could have even had it happen at 35, 34, or 33. Rock did a jobber match with Eric Rowan at 32. You could have done it there in Dallas. Like I said, the fact that this is even a discussion is a joke, and it reflects so poorly on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, especially now that he is a TKO board member and has more power than he has ever had in any time in his wrestling career. And his biggest rival may come back in and face CM Punk in a match that nobody thought would ever be possible. And the match that everybody has been dreaming about and salivating about for 10 years, Roman Reigns versus Rock, may not happen before that is a joke. It is a fucking joke. Another example of just how much Dwayne Johnson does not care about us, the wrestling fans. He does not care about the business. He is all about himself. And the only reason, frankly, that he would even come back in to do this is because he's getting wound up by his biggest rival and one of his great friends in Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's very ironic that this whole thing is playing out in front of our very eyes. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys. Bye-bye.